But you look up there at that stage and you see a bunch of old people, shocker, that,
Yeah.
haven't innovated anything like any of this stuff in their lives and are just up there making rules on it and basically just calling what they're doing, which is extortion, a fine.
Right.
And, everything that they do is right and everything that anybody in crypto does is wrong. So Thursday last week, the 16th, the court listeners site updated the ledger to show the order to show cause. That's when we found out that it sounded as if the SEC was not able to serve Richard. So, in other words, so the 27-page complaint that they submitted apparently didn't do a good enough job either, because that doesn't, that on its own isn't going to stand. The judge isn't going to be interested in pursuing anything beyond that. And you have to obviously serve the defendant. So anyway, the plaintiff needed to file proof of service no later than today, 11/21, just a little bit before 5 o'clock today. They were not able to do it. And essentially said that they now have until the 15th of December to move forward with to continue to try to serve him for like 3 more weeks. And if not, they can go with an alternative service after that in accordance with Rule 4F of the Federal Rules of Civil Procedure, which is where we get into this. I guess it's actually called like the Hague. It's from a Hague conference, but it states serving an individual in a foreign country. So that's what it's actually about. They presume that they know where he is. I guess they don't so far. But unless federal law provides otherwise, an individual other than a minor, incompetent person, blah, 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 or a person whose waiver has been filed may be served at a place not within any judicial district of the United States. So in other words, it sounds like you can just kind of go rogue and do whatever you want anyway, even though they're not in the United States.
Right.
But by any internationally agreed terms of service that is reasonably calculated to give notice. I mean, it's a lot. I'm not going to bore everybody by reading it, but essentially they have until 12/15 TLDR to try with the means that they have been failing with. And then after that, they can invoke this Hague thing. And then they would have until, so everybody was focused on November the 28th as a phone conference. That's now going to be January the 30th of 2024. That's already been set by the judge. And I believe it is January 24th that they will need to have, I think it was the 24th of January that they'll need to show that they served their defendant. So anyway, long story short, as most things in court, regardless of what kind of court you're in, hurry up and wait. Everything gets pushed back, and the plaintiff was unable to serve the defendant. So what do you make of this, Ewok? I'm just going to leave it open to you. That's pretty much all the updates. So if you guys didn't see any of that on Twitter, there you go, in video and audio form. So what do you make of it?
Well, a couple things. The greedy side of me wants this to start and get over with.
Yeah.
The part of me that doesn't really care, or I'm content waiting, what I think I would prefer to drag it out as long as possible. Now, I hate to say that. I don't want to go too far into the bull market. Obviously, we don't want to miss that. However, we might a little bit. But I think it sets a lot of precedent when there's all these other things happening that can be used to our advantage. There's a Coinbase lawsuit. There's a there's the Kraken, there's the whole Binance thing, how that's going to shake out. There's other things, all these tokens that are being listed as securities. There's just so many things happening. I think it would be good to have some of those play out to get some precedent to go based on. We already know that Ripple pretty much won their case, so that's good. And I think Coinbase, let them spend the money, right? Let them defend themselves to see how that plays out in order to see what can possibly come of it. So, I'm on both sides. Like I kind of doesn't matter. I don't think there's a whole lot of news. I think we're all making more out of it than what it really is.
Yeah.
especially as far as price goes. You know, people are afraid, and I get it. I completely understand. Um, but no matter what happens in court, it doesn't change the protocol. It doesn't change the fact that these things are still working. You know, Pulse Chain is over, what are we at, 50,000 validators yet? I think we're pushing it
Got to
or
be
getting
right around
close.
there. Yeah.
You know, across the world. So that's about as decentralized as you can get. The Hex contract still runs fantastic on both chains. Um, Pulse X, buy and burn. There's not a whole lot of volume, but it works. Yes, we don't have the single-sided staking, which a bunch of people are still crying about.
Yeah.
But if you want to stake so badly, stake your Hex. Like I don't understand. You know, none of this stuff is affected by with anything that Richard does. We've got all our front ends are decentralized. You know, there's there's multiple options. I think we're in such a great position um, for being in the position that we're in, just
Hmm.
waiting. So yeah, I don't know. Like I said, there's two sides. You know, you can look at it both ways. You know, are you greedy? You want it just to be done, pay a settlement and move on. But then you don't really get any kind of ruling. You know, then they can circle back in 6 months and say, "Hey, we don't like the way you look today. We're going to charge you another $30 million." You know, just like they're doing with Kraken. It's almost like the mafia is back, extorting money from these people if they don't like what you're doing. And you know, that's exactly what just happened. Kraken just paid $30 million to them in February, and here
Yeah.
we are
Right.
again. Now they're coming back for more, and you know, it's sad. I think it's very sad, especially from these organizations that aren't even elected, and that's part of the problem that part of what I see. There's a problem with. They're all designated office people, and you know, maybe it would be best to wait for the new administration. That's a good play too. So
Well, not only are they not elected, but they're only in the United States. That's the thing that we forget. I mean, like, with legacy finance scams that are just within the United States, it's like, okay, well, that's within our country. But some of these products, especially real DeFi, not that I support anything that they're doing going after the exchanges, but exchanges are not decentralized. I mean, we're talking about like real DeFi,
right,
and people that invest in those can be anywhere in the world. I mean, I know that exchanges are in different countries throughout the world, but there's definitely more of a choke point on those than there are with DeFi. So, I mean, for them to make decisions like that unilaterally for the entire world, it's not going to make anybody want to stay in the United States for
no,
any kind of innovation of anything. And then you look at all of these, and we'll get specifically to the Binance one, but you look up there at that stage and you see a bunch of old people, um, shocker, that,
yeah,
are haven't innovated anything like any of this stuff in their lives, and are just up there making rules on it and basically just calling what they're doing, which is extortion, a fine.
right.
And everything that they do is right, and everything that anybody in crypto does is wrong.
And on top of
Yeah.
it, they're trying to regulate a system that is doing things the right way. Meanwhile, their system is what's really broken, right?
Mhm.
The
Yes.
financial system that they have in place is broken beyond belief, and they're trying to tell us how to run one. And it's like, no, thanks, we don't really want your help. You know,
Yeah.
look what you've done. Look at the
Mhm.
economy. Look at the inflation. Look how you've mismanaged that. We really don't want the help. So, you know, there's
Well,
that too.
it's why this entire thing exists. It's why Bitcoin exists. It's why it was created to begin with, because of the devaluation of the dollar and what goes on with other countries' currencies. So,
Yeah.
yeah, yet again, I mean, like, all these departments really not helping or saving any investors whatsoever. I mean, look, if you are somebody, I saw a lot of people today, and I guess kudos to them for trying to help, but like these big crypto accounts saying like, "Hey, I've told you guys, if you have anything left on Binance, you need to get it off right now." What are you doing with it on there anyway? And that's
Right.
something that people still don't understand. We're a year out from FTX. I mean, literally a calendar year ago, we were talking before the show. I guess once a year we're going to have a figurehead from one of these exchanges go down. So Brian Armstrong, you've got 2024 maybe. But every year something like this is happening, and it's like, when are people? I don't think they ever will. You know, being a fan of DeFi and seeing that people are not understanding this stuff enough, when will they get to notice that, like, we shouldn't be leaving our stuff on exchanges? Again, I don't blame CZ for this. I don't, you know, harbor any ill will against Binance or anything like that. But more so just the lawmakers who are continuing to not provide any kind of clarity and, you know, extort people that are actually innovating stuff so they can make more money than their meager politician wages pay.
Yeah.
So,
Well, I also think part of this has to go back to FTX. Um, we kind of speculate that there was some inner workings with the politicians in the FTX. You know, what they were planning, who knows? Maybe they were planning that to be the exchange that the government kind of got their fingers into. And CZ was one of the people that helped kind of essentially hurry that along, and
right.
expose what was going on. And that's when it crashed. So I think some of this is payback for that. You know, they went after him hard
Yeah.
after kind of ruining their plans, you know. So, you know, make sure you guys have options as far as on and off ramps go. I wouldn't just have one. You know, get a backup plan, get your shit off the exchanges, but use them so that you're not really inactive user, where you start putting money in and they're going to freeze you. So, you know, make sure that you are using it, make sure it's active, but make sure you have a backup too.
Yeah. Yeah, totally agree, 100%. But yeah, that's kind of where we are as far as the Pulse Chain ecosystem stuff. So I mean, yeah, I'm to, and you know, to what you were saying earlier, Ewok, I totally agree. I'm not worried at all. It's you know, more opportunities to buy the dip. Like, if this was happening, if we were in the bull market yet, which I understand we're in a new cycle. I think we're in the bull market really, but I mean, if we were in bullish times right now, this stuff wouldn't really matter that much, and things would be going up. People wouldn't be thinking about it. Like, this is
Yeah,
going to continue to go on and take months and years, just like the Ripple stuff did. Except this is actual real crypto and real DeFi and a better product than what Ripple had with XRP. So, yeah, I mean, I don't care at all. I think this is probably the most likely scenario, that they would be so inept that they couldn't even find him. And, you know, their corruption will continue, and we'll just have this be pushed out forever. So